Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Pints and Quarts, a show brought to you by the Craft Beer Nation. It is Thursday, March 15th, and we have some friends of the show on joining us tonight. But before we get to who they are, I'm going to introduce you to our panel. Freddie Rodriguez, how you doing tonight? Joining us from cold, snowy Boston.
What's going on, brother?
I'm doing How much snow y'all get, man?
We got about 2 feet the other day. And my
snowblower
broke during the storm, which is always a good thing. So it took prayers and prayers upon prayers for me not to take my snowblower and throw that shit across the street.
Didn't you get snow a week before that too?
Yeah, it was like 6 inches maybe.
Oh, okay.
That like it's nothing.
Yeah, 6 inches.
It's like
so much potential to go off the rails already. But Marcus, how are you doing tonight, sir?
Life is good. I'm always glad to be happy to be joined with the pride of Beaufort, South Carolina. But yeah, Freddie, like I was telling you earlier, anytime you get tired of that snow, just move on down to Virginia where they call for 8 inches. We get a dusting, but everything still shuts down. So
I like that.
That's life, man. Move to Northern Virginia. I mean, you won't be able to afford to live in Northern Virginia. You can work there and then move on the outskirts like everybody else does, but you'll be all right.
Well, you can live in Northern Virginia. You just can't live in D.C. Anyway.
Yeah.
Our guest of the night, Andrew Kelly. How are you tonight, sir?
What's up, man? Good. Just watching some March Madness and drinking our world famous Pilsner.
Is JMU in the aren't you? Did you go to? Are you a JMU guy?
I went to JMU, but we're not in it. We're not.
Go Dukes, though.
Go Dukes, yeah.
Kai Leskowitz, how are you doing tonight? So that sounded like effort, didn't it?
That sounded good.
It sounded good, but definitely sounded like you tried a little bit.
How you doing tonight, man?
You held the less part too long, like less.
You want to say it like a true Polish person, it's Leskovich, but
Kai Leskowitz, how you doing tonight, sir?
All right, man. Drinking some Triple Orange Starfish over here and staring at this 80s cover band called Glamour Kitty.
Why are you watching 80s cover?
I thought we agreed on talking about no porn tonight, Kai.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I'm like,
The disagreement happens already. The agreements have gone out the window. So full on porn talk from this point.
Yo, it's so bad. I just Googled that. Oh my God.
Right?
There's a picture of Coco Beware for no reason.
That's so cool.
Him and Marty Jannetty. Like, what's going on?
Yo, look at this. Look at Rex's pants and how big his muscles look all at the same time.
And we are gone, ladies and gentlemen.
Y'all remember that time we had a show where we were going to talk about beer and talk about Aslin?
So we're not going to talk about Coco Beware the entire time?
Absolutely not.
Even Aslin wants to talk about this.
So, Kai, Andrew, the last time you guys were on, I think well, not I think, I know that you were announcing the opening of your second, well, not opening, but the acquisition of your second location in downtown Herndon. The renders and stuff had people going a little crazy online. Everybody's still excited for it because they'll have the opportunity to actually come and sit down and drink a beer. That's still going to happen, right?
Yeah, another 2 years.
There's hope.
So is there a projected date for that, or have things changed?
We're hoping May, June timeframe. I mean, that's hoping at this point. We had some structural issues that's holding us back a little bit.
Okay, and so that was that last summer when you guys announced that?
Yeah, August, right?
Yeah, I think August was when
summer, early fall.
Work on that thing.
End of July. Yeah.
Yeah, we were doing that since like February of last year, and then like talks and acquiring the property and getting lease going and stuff.
And since then, you guys have grown a little bit. I know y'all have put like if somebody had been coming to Aslin 2 years ago, and then they for whatever reason disappeared for 2 years and then came back now, not only would they see the business model change, they'd see that the actual brewery itself looks completely different from the way it once did. I mean, you guys went from a 2-barrel system with a couple, I think 7-barrel fermenter, like 4 7-barrel fermenters in the back, to now having I think your fermenters are what, 30-barrel now? 30-barrel fermenters?
Yeah, it was actually 7 4-barrels, and now we have 7 17 barrels and 4 34 barrels.
So the space itself has changed with the addition of a cannon line, and the reason why those things happen is because as a brewery, you guys are growing. Your beer is good. People are seeking it out. And just recently, earlier this week, it was announced that you guys have been having some battles with the city of Herndon for some time now. You guys want to share a little bit about what it is that you guys have been going through with the city of Herndon?
Yeah, we've been the gambit here. Pretty much everything from the town didn't have any regulations involving breweries or capacity uses and things like that. And from the time we launched, not only did the town, but the county, they passed regulations based on certain zoning districts. One of the conversations we're having internally right now is, well, was our brewery open before the passage of those things? Are we grandfathered in? Are we not? That wouldn't apply to the new location downtown Herndon on Eldon Street, but it would apply to the old one. And maybe there's a conversation that needs to occur there. However, the reason we acquired that downtown spot was to put this possible future production facility, a nice brew house and tasting room, possible food option there. And that's not going to happen for a lot of reasons now, other than the production limitation. And it just feels a lot like the town is doing a lot of things to like put themselves in their own way or, inhibit our business's growth unintentionally, but that's what occurs. I don't know if that necessarily answered your question. I'm trying to be as politically correct and polite about it as possible, but it's been a struggle and it's been very frustrating.
Yeah, I can understand that frustration. What does it feel like to have that business model, like where you have to literally change up the entire path of the way that you were going? From saying, hey, come in and have pours and we'd also have beer to go, to be strictly beer to go.
Yeah, man, that was gut wrenching because it was literally December 23rd, 2016. We get basically the doors shut down. We had to kick a whole bunch of people out, limit our bottle release. It was one of our manager's first days or second days there, Brandon. And the next day, it's Christmas Eve. We tell our staff, look, enjoy the holidays. Come back on the you hear my kid in the background screaming now?
That's like that one interview with the guy doing the interview and his kid runs in the background and his wife is trying to drag the kid out of the bed.
So it was December 27th, 2016. We literally sat down all of the original bar staff, the new members we had hired on for 2017, and the brew people, and we're like, look, this is what the situation is. We don't know what we're going to be doing. Let's brainstorm. And everyone sat down and was like, well, what can we do? And that's when Andrew and I had like that side conversation of like, okay, well, let's take the next step. Let's invest a little bit more money into some more fermentation and adopt a mobile canning option, because that can get us product faster out or into the market, and see if we can continue that kind of growth. And that ultimately, like Drew calls this, a blessing in disguise, because it's what it was. The brewery wouldn't have gone from that 770 barrels of production into what is now going to be 6,000 this year without that, major hiccup and oversight by those agencies.
Yeah, because that's a big thing to do, because you have people that are set up for like, hey, I took this job with this certain amount of salary. This is how I'm going to work. This is what I think I'm going to be doing, compared to what they're actually doing now is, it's night and day almost.
Guys, I got to tell you, man, to go, you don't need me to tell you this, but to go from brewing 700-800 barrels of beer a year to doing 6,000 a year, man, that's an insane leap. And in a lot of cases, that's something that could doom a lot of companies because they aren't prepared for the growth. We've had side conversations before about, how to handle those types of things. So I just want to, first of all, give you guys a whole bunch of kudos for being able to take those lemons and make lemonade. It goes without being said that there were some growing pains, but y'all weathered the storm. Your fans weathered the storm. Your customer base weathered the storm, and I think that's showing right now, because the limits on the beer that you're making, the allotment has increased tremendously from what it once was, and you're still selling your beer out. There's not really a need to go to get a distributor to put your beer on the shelves, and that says a lot. That says a lot about the product, the product itself, that people will come to it with no problem and get it. And you guys, I think for the most part, well, not even for the most part, you guys are still humble and you've been able to control your growth in a way that's sustainable and allow you to be who you are right now. So kudos to you guys for that. And I think I speak for a lot of the people, a lot of your customers who are thankful for who you guys were and also who you've become and how you've gotten there, right? So I'm fanboying right now, so I'm gonna stop. So there's been some
Randy.
Go ahead. What you say?
Nothing.
There's been some talk this week on the interwebs, particularly in Facebook. There were some people. This talk really went up a little bit after Kai made his post. I don't even. Okay, if the people watching, if they only knew. I don't even know what to do. Okay, so anyway, there's been talk about a new facility in somewhere in northern Virginia.
Inside the Beltway.
I'm trying so hard to remain professional here, but there's been talk about another facility
inside the Beltway of Virginia.
Is that true? Can anything be said about that?
We are currently in lease negotiations with multiple spaces around the Northern Virginia area.
Inside, is that going to be inside the Beltway or outside the Beltway? You said you're coming to Stafford right down the street from me? Oh, it's going to be great.
We're not naming any municipalities at this time to keep ourselves in a position of leverage, as well as I don't know. Other than
that is completely understandable, because if you're going through lease negotiations and if you say, hey, we're going to be in XYZ city, someone like, oh, that's a great deal that they're getting. We can underscoop them. We can steal that marketplace. We can steal that volume. So I completely understand. I think Randy and Freddie both understand as well.
Yeah, no, of course. And what we do want to reiterate with all the people who are watching or are going to see the video later is that the downtown Herndon site is still happening. We are still going to have a tasting room. So for these people that are Western Fairfax, Eastern Loudoun, that 28 corridor of beer, you're still going to have the same access that you currently have to those beers. Those package releases that we do, the cans and stuff like that, will be available there. So wherever this next location is located in the DMV or whatever, you'll still have the same amount of opportunity.
Yeah, I think that's something I saw a lot on the Facebook sites, is that people were like, oh no, they're leaving. This is the place that's right near me. So if because the location you're in now compared to the Eldon Street location, they're not that far apart. I think it's like 3 miles. So it's a mile.
I think with Kai's post, he just wanted to keep up the annual post of we're leaving Herndon. It's like this annual ritual we have going on. So
I mean, Drew's totally right, but there's a lot of harbored frustration. In 2016, that December post that went out, that was like very emotional from Aslin Beer Company about how we're done with the harassment. It was a combination of both like the failures from the county to do their job as professionals, the town to do their jobs as the experts, our neighbors, our COA, which is our condo association, and it compounded into that like one night, and it was an emotional response because we feel a duty to these people that work for us. They sacrifice a ton of their time. Look at how Progeny's grown. Those brewers are the guys making the beers now. Drew and I write recipes and we tell them the data point for execution, but at the end of the day, we're not touching the buttons anymore. We're not doing any of the physical grain work. Scott, Joel, Bo, Richard, Rob, Blake, Travis, those guys are killing it for us. And without them, this brewery wouldn't exist. So in 2016, when that happened to us, we were like, you know what? This is just disrespectful, and it was emotional. This year, all of 2017, Drew's been doing an awesome job at trying to expedite the change in this barrelage capacity issue. And, it gets all the way through, I don't know, like 9 different edits as of October, from like 2 months after the original submission to getting through zoning, which was a very difficult process. To it appears in the council, and the council defers their vote. to another working session because they're not prepared to see it. Well, like, look, you guys have understood this issue for over a year. You've heard our complaints outside of the law being passed, and you're not prepared for it to mitigate one of your largest possible income streams, one of your largest possible tourist attractions for your town, and you're not in a position to garnish them to stay in any way. We're not asking for money. We're not asking for tax abatements. We're not asking for you guys to contribute to our projects in any way. We just want you to allow our business to prosper and stop passing things that could hinder us and future breweries.
Yeah, if I can pause you for a second, like what you were saying, like it doesn't only pause you, but it also pauses the money that could potentially come in from beer tourism. Because I know when like I'm going to Tampa in 3 weeks, I'm gonna hit every single brewery that's in that area. I'm gonna go to St. Petersburg. I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna go there. But what I was gonna say is like with the Progeny series, the thing I like the most is like it shows not only the growth of the company, but it shows the trust that you have in your employees to say, hey, go out here, do your thing. Let's put this out. This is how you know, okay, yeah, this beer was a success. This beer was okay, it was mad, but you did okay. I think that shows from you and Andrew's perspective, like, hey, we're letting our employees and our minor brewers, instead of being like the head brewer, we're letting you get your chance to get your feet wet. You know, I think that's an awesome thing because you don't see that a lot. I mean, I don't see it a lot in breweries. So I just think that's awesome to let your employees like take the reins for a bit.
No, and I think they appreciate it as well. There's an intricate aspect that Drew and I designed to it that makes Progeny appealing to them, and that's how I'll state it. So not only do they get to learn, but there's an incentive behind it, which is nice, and it helps them as brewers build the brand. So if they ever do decide to like make Aslin a family tree brewery, meaning like they leave and open their own place,
right?
Already got the practice, they got to bang it out here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they've got the acceptance to do that. A lot of guys who are leaving breweries, from our experience and conversations with them, is they don't tell people, it's secretive, and before you know it, it's divisive, and they split, and now they're launching their own site, and it's almost like in direct,
competition with that other one. I look at it as like, if I'm working for you and I was like, oh yeah, Marcus, but to me, to be able to like, hey, this beer right here, I made this. This is my recipe. This is my thing. I made this beer. Hey, try this. It's not the selfish part of it, but it's like, this is what I was able to do through this company or through this brewery. Like it's an extension, and it gives you that family tree aspect. Like, yeah, hey, this Progeny series, it's Marcus, but he learned his trade from here. So I can go to Aslin, pay my dues and then branch off, or I can do this and I can go down these certain avenues.
Right. And
I think that's awesome.
It's welcomed. It's not like you're punishing them for it or, in fear that it's going to happen. It's the expectation. That's how the industry works, guys.
That's how you like, we always talk, we've talked about this privately, but like, it's like a high tide raises all ships. So it's like, yeah, we're doing great. Of course. Why not? Take a chance. That's the beer you want. Brew it. Let me know how. Oh wow, this is really good. I wouldn't have expected to use that type of hop or this type of grain build.
100%. And I think Drew likes to, illustrate this with the guys a lot. Is this is an economic exercise. You guys can truly understand what it means to have a cost analysis, an employment analysis, and then go like, oh shit, this is viable or it's not viable, or I can understand why margins on beers are extremely low when we throw hundreds of pounds of coconut into something now. And it's super eye-opening,
Yeah, I think that it goes without being said that you guys have put together a pretty talented team of brewers there. The fact that you through it all, your beers have gotten, once you went through those growing pains, right? When you expanded the size of your brew house and all that stuff, you figured out the problems. Your beers have constantly gotten better. And this Progeny series, like Marcus was saying, has only shown the skill set of the guys that you have on your team, and the guys and the gals that you have on your team. And I know some of them come there with not a lot of brewing experience. So for the most part, everything that they learn is what you've taught them. So you guys have done a really good job with your team. So we gotta tip our hats to those guys. But Kai, just to go back a little bit earlier, you said that folks are still going to have the same access to your product. You know, if you move to somewhere else in the DMV, the downtown Herndon location you said is still going to happen. Is there anything? Will the location still be there as well?
The current brewery and warehouse, we are undecided at this time. Again, a lot of that decision is strictly based on this next site and how negotiations go there. The last thing we want to tell anyone is that the brewery in Herndon doesn't exist when the reality could be a lease agreement falls through and we're scrounging to steal the space next door to us to expand, you know. One thing that we find interesting for the town of Herndon is 5,000 barrels of maximum production per license. So we could easily buy up every one of those units next to us and make each one of them 5,000. In totality, Aslin's brand could make 40,000 barrels in that same block. But we're not that rude.
You know, I call that petty.
it's unfortunate that they don't recognize the contribution that you guys have had to the city of Herndon, right? Because truth be told, I mean, were it not for you guys, I live in Woodbridge. I don't have much of a reason to come to Herndon. And I think that's the case for a lot of people, especially in the craft beer game, because people go on trips specifically to hit up certain breweries. So there are a lot of people who've come to visit you guys who normally wouldn't have come to Herndon, Virginia. So they may have bought a hotel room while they were in Herndon. They hit some restaurants up while they were there getting some of your beer while they, you know what I'm saying? So there's the whole additional revenue source that comes along with your patrons.
And to piggyback on that, Randy, like I've lived in Virginia my entire life. The amount of times I've hung out in Herndon have all been at Aslin. I've hit Aslin if I'm not working. That's the only time I go to Herndon is to go to Aslin. Literally, that's it. And it's not being like an Aslin fanboy, but Aslin is 50 minutes away. The only reason I would go there is to go grab a beer. There's not some food place I'm like, oh, I have to go get this place. I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry, not sorry.
You guys, though, are trying to rationalize everything that kind of I've done over the past year, right? And we've gone through this exercise many times. And at this point, we've learned that the town of Herndon is, one, not knowledgeable of what craft beer can do for the town from an economic standpoint. And two, they're not willing to listen to us. Without going too deep into detail, we've tried to sit down with the town leadership and put these figures or information in front of them. And a lot of it goes in one out, in out the other. And at this point, we're moving forward with the tasting room because we think that's going to be a positive contribution to the Herndon community. But for Aslin, from a production standpoint, we're looking for a space that's going to allow us to grow in an effective manner.
Yeah, I saw the town hall meeting. They didn't want to hear anything you were saying because at one point I think he said, what was it? Devil's Backbone owns Anheuser-Busch and they're making 60,000 barrels. And you're like, no, actually, sir, they made 20,000 barrels and that was 2016. But to them, numbers are numbers. They don't care to listen to what's actually going on.
But what I found super insulting about the entire thing too was that they all spent like 30 or 40 minutes doing this opening conversation about how important the arts were to them, but totally dismissed the fact that we are called craft beer. We're fucking artisans. Sorry. Can we bleep that? Do we say fuck on this thing?
No, we can say fuck.
Fuck. We're artists.
There goes the YouTube ad revenue.
Sorry, guys.
But like, we don't make no money on this.
I'm not trying to like bolster what we do, but it is true. Like there is some craft aspect or completely craft aspect to what we're doing. Drew and I don't have any technical background in this, and everything we've done has either been by learning from mistakes or reading books or having conversations with other people who do this craft. And therefore we believe it's artisanal and then therefore it falls into the arts category. It'd be the same as like a wood carver or like a cheese maker or someone who's making raw ingredients foods or
Great Harvest Bread Company. If it was a Great Harvest Bread Company and y'all are pumping all this business, I don't want to say the name of the people next to you, but they wouldn't care. They'd be like, oh, it's Great Harvest Bread. They make such good blueberry muffins. But no, it's Oh,
Why'd you use your white voice?
Come on. I was thinking the same thing.
You got the best one.
first of all, let's. I mean, if we want to go down this avenue,
I mean,
Harvest Bread
love
Company,
blueberry muffins.
Great
don't-
Great Harvest Bread Company does not skew towards minorities.
So guys, let me ask you this. I'm not 100% on Virginia craft beer laws. Are you guys gonna have any issues when you open up your downtown Herndon location? I know South Carolina once had like this weird law that said that a brewer could only produce a certain amount of beer and transport it to a second location or something like that. Are you guys going to face any of those issues with brewing beer at Sunset and then sending beer over to the Eldon Street?
Yeah, well, we believe that what we're doing now is basically contracting wort. So we're making, in layman's terms, sugar water, and we move it to the downtown location where we complete the brewing process by inoculating wild, sour, other things like that we don't want in the traditional brewery. And then therefore we can do whatever we want. We can make sugar water anywhere, you know what I mean? And then and putting it downtown to make it into a final beer product is more of a geezery practice, right?
So that's just for your spontaneous fermentation beers, or are you also talking about like for your IPAs as well? You're just gonna pitch yeast at Eldon Street, or
No, it's only going to be wood aged stuff, so mostly sours, or
okay,
pretty much all sours, and then we transport aged stouts, barley wines, etc.
What's the limit? What's the limit on kegs that you can move from your production brewery to the brew pub?
There is no limit.
Oh, okay. So okay,
we can do brewery to brewery transfers based on our license.
Okay, cool. So you aren't faced with any of those ridiculous restrictions that some Virginia doesn't hit you with those restrictions that some other states hit their
not at the moment. Now the restaurant association and the wholesalers association is trying to limit that, and they constantly lobby with the state government to reduce what brewers can do. But at this moment, it doesn't phase us.
Blame Anheuser-Busch on that and their sway and their lobby sway.
Yep.
It's actually more restaurants than anything, because they're getting hurt by breweries allowing people to come in and just have beer without the food option.
Okay. Question off topic: are you guys still sending beer out to Maine?
Yeah, once in a while. We try to pick a locale and move a pallet every month or so. This last quarter, like the end of quarter one, beginning of quarter two, we've got some stuff popping up in Europe that we're involved in. So we sent some beers to Copenhagen. We sent some beers to Germany. In June, we got invited to a festival in so we'll be sending a couple pallets out there. That's going to kill any of like the small local drops that we do.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and on top of that, we're still trying to figure out our true distribution value. Currently, we use a small distribution company, and they're asking for contracts and limits and things, and that's not how Aslin works. And we don't have any intentions of really making.
What? Didn't you do another like podcast with someone about Iceland, a trip you did something like that a while back?
Oh yeah, dude! I talked to Brian Roth on.
How dare you go somewhere else?
I've been cheating on you guys.
How dare you? Who are you, Kyle Leskowicz?
Lie to me, you unfaithful.
Insert generic white brewer with beard and bald spots.
Yeah, that's pretty dope though, man.
Hey, join the club, homie. I can't even take my hat off. I don't even want to do it.
Dude, you look good.
Do it.
Randy's the only person I know that shaves for fun. Like, just, I'm going to shave my head today.
He shaves all his body, though, and that's really fun.
Sometimes I let Kai shave it for me.
With my tongue.
That's a lot of fun.
Hey, I got sleeping kids upstairs. Y'all need to stop this.
So, well,
Did Kai say with his tongue?
Yeah.
Fellas, I think that I think that you guys, a lot of people had questions, and I think most of them were revolving around what was going to happen, essentially, right? What's happening, at least as far as this new location is concerned. What's going to happen with the Eldon Street location? What's going to happen with the Sunset location? Folks just wanted to know, and they want to know what the impact was going to be. To Marcus's, to piggyback off of what Marcus said, that there was definitely concern that with this new look, the post earlier this week made it seem as if you guys were done with Herndon. I think for a lot of people, and so there was sadness there, right? Folks were kind of mad because they thought that they weren't going to have, especially folks that live out that way, weren't going to have the same access to your beer as they currently enjoy. But I think you guys cleared it up pretty good. You know, you're still going to get your beer. You're still going to have the same access. There's going to be no change there. And then the other question was, you know, what's up with this third location? What's location 2, part 2.
Yeah. So
I think people should be aware that our vision is Herndon being or downtown Herndon being a sour only brewery, and then us looking for a production facility outside of Herndon that will allow us to feed the masses with our beer within a 30 to 45-minute drive of Herndon. That's our focal point for 2018.
I would echo those thoughts with the addition of, this is not what we planned. I convinced Drew to select Herndon. I know we've talked about this in other conversations in and outside of Craft Beer Nation. I selected Herndon, convinced Drew that it was a cool town. It was little. My wife and I moved here before we had kids, and we're like, this is great. You can walk the WNOD up and down this place. And in my opinion, it ends up being one of those old boy towns with small mind politics and people who are trying to protect their own interests. Just look at like in that, I'll illustrate it with small anecdotal evidence. Like, look at the Comstock project. Look who benefited from that. Who are the players in that thing? Who has a seat on our town council, and who are the future leases of locations within those tenants? You know, I mean, that in itself just shows that like nobody in this town gives a shit about the residents, or nobody on that council gives a shit about the residents. And if they did, they don't have the ability or balls to stand up and say, you know, I don't agree with what's happening here. So that being said, and I'll get off my soapbox. That
being said, Andrew and Kai are running for town council of Town of Herndon in 2018. Get your votes out.
How them girls say it, Randy? How they say it?
Yes. Drew's not kidding. One of us will be running. One of us will be in a position to influence.
Are you bailing on me?
We need 4,700 votes for one seat. 4,700 votes. We can do that. There is probably 4,700 of you who drink our beer and live in the voting district of the town. So
we will give away 4,700 Mug Club memberships if you vote for votes.
This is a call to arms. Call to arms. You need somebody on the council who's gonna check a coward's heart.
Hey, like they always say, Randy, like all politics is local politics. So
no, and dude, that is so true. And the worst part is like, okay, we wanted to be a small community brewery. Why do we buy a 2-barrel brew house? Because we never thought we were going to make more than fucking 500 barrels of beer. And it just so happens we make a decent product, and the internet and social media made it accessible for everyone to spread the word about what it is we do. And before you know it, it was a machine, and it still is a machine that is growing without any true investment other than the cash that our consumers are bringing to us. Like this growth, I think every one of our consumers should be extremely happy for, because it is them who grew this business. And I can't like, we're not bringing on other investors. Drew and I aren't putting any more money in. And, you know, like, I don't think a lot of people know we went unpaid for almost 2 years here, and we don't make any more than our top paid brewer. So like legitimately all the money that the business makes goes back into the business's growth. And that's going to be true going forward. You know?
Also, shout out to Eli Tracks, because when I see those posts on Instagram, I'm like, I might have to make that drive. Like, not even like I don't have to have anybody say, "Oh, Marcus, you got to go check this beer out." But when Eli Tracks posts something, I'm like, "Oh, that looks fantastic! Is that maple syrup? Oh, how dare they!" Like it's killer. It's killing it.
Yeah.
So, guys, real quick before we wrap, I just want to ask, like where you are right now, when you first opened, you know, going back to what we said earlier, you guys were brewing in a 2-barrel system with 4 7-barrel fermenters, and now you guys are doing what you're doing. Do you ever sit back and like just literally say, wow,
how far we came?
Like how the hell, how did this happen? Like this wasn't even your intention, but lo and behold, this is where you are. Do you ever step back and say, wow?
It's definitely humbling. I mean, kind of had goals of growing this, like he said, to a small town brewery, maybe 5,000 barrels at most, and the support that the customers have given us has allowed us to think a little bit larger, to support the region, so that everyone can enjoy Aslin beer in their home.
And Kai, I remember one time I came out there and there was a line, and I was talking to you, and I was like, how does it make you feel to see like a line wrapped around the building? And you said it was embarrassing.
Yeah,
like can you expound on that a little bit?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It was raw when you asked me, right? But and replicating is probably not going to do it any justice. But it is. It's like
because his mom was in the line. That's why.
Just cut. No, but what I mean is like, oh man, I don't know.
I think let me throw you a bone here. Let me throw you a bone. I think embarrassing fit during in the context of our conversation, but I think what you meant was it was extremely humbling.
Yeah, no. Yeah, you're 100% right. Is it extremely humbling and embarrassing for me that these guys are dedicated to like what we're doing so much that they want to come spend their time? Like it makes me feel like I'm on a stage and like the brewery and all the people behind the process are like part of like a giant antic. You know what I mean? Like it's scary. That's stressful. That's a lot of pressure. What if they lined up and the beer sucked? Because that has happened before. You know, there's a real possibility that we're not paying attention to the process or something like that, and the beers suck. And they spent. That's embarrassing, man. That stress and that scare, and I don't know.
I'm still trying to figure out what you meant.
It was humbling. It's humbling considering the fact that you guys started the way you did, and now there are people waiting in line for beer to give you their good money for a liquid that you're making,
hard-earned money.
For a mere liquid that you're making. And I think personally speaking, I think that's one of the things that I love about craft beer is that, I mean, the purveyors of craft beer literally have the ability to transform someone's day. Somebody can be having the shittiest of days and they can come and drink a pint of this liquid that you made oftentimes with 4 basic ingredients. They'll give you their hard-earned money for this liquid, and that can transform their day. This liquid can put the CEO and the janitor on the same level. They can sit down and have an equal conversation that surrounds
what Randy is talking about and just said perfectly encapsulates what I love about craft beer to a T. Cheers to you on that. I really appreciate that.
Cheers. Listen, Randy, I know you wanted to break the news about what municipality Aslin has as a future.
We have one thing that
I'll throw you 2 bones. I got 2
bones.
All right. It's not just me, it's for the viewers as well. It's for the people.
I mean, you've been with us from the beginning. You were our first podcast, and we sat down at our homemade tables and did all that fancy stuff back in the day with whatever crazy Frenchman that's not on the show right now.
It was Gil. He wasn't French. He was Brazilian.
What a jerk.
How dare you, Kai? That's
Portuguese, damn it.
That's pretty messed up.
Kai's going through this stage where he's calling every European or Frenchman.
Yeah, I fell asleep on a belt.
Portugal, Brazil, they're
go back, guys. Go back.
Anyway, go ahead, Kai.
Go back to that episode. Randy, Gil, myself, Aslin,
Kai, Ark, Andrew, Richard, Kai. Go ahead, Kai.
Oh my gosh, yeah, way back when. Number one, the coolest thing ever is that our brew staff consumers have put us in a position where we have purchased a 30-barrel brew house. and fermentation from Brewfab in Tampa, Florida. That will be located somewhere in the DMV within the next 6 to 9 months.
Yay!
Oh yeah.
Seriously
Right
though,
on.
I do want to shout out to our staff and just dude, this is all on them. Like Drew and I steer this thing and we give them incentives and stuff like that to do good work. But without their dedication and their hard hours and all the stuff that they do for us in sacrifice, we wouldn't be here. And especially without the consumers, we couldn't be here. So I want to thank all the consumers and my staff a lot. I'm very appreciative.
Absolutely.
The second, Drew, do you want to handle that one?
No, I'm not saying anything about that one.
Oh, okay. I'll ruin it then.
Do you want me to say it? I'll say it.
All right, go ahead.
I don't know it. No, I was just.
We are very close to finalizing a deal to be serving beer right across the street from Nat Stadium for all Nats home games.
Nice.
So that's pretty exciting for us.
You know who's a Nats fan?
Bryce Harper.
This guy.
These two guys.
These two guys right here.
So big ups to the crew at Aslin Beer Company. We wanna drop
Real quick,
some.
what's up with the next coming collabs? What are we doing, fellas?
We actually have a collab tomorrow with Troon Brewing out of Jersey, and we got a couple more conversations in the work. This year, we're kind of taking a break from collabs because of the construction downtown, the possible expansion in the future, and a few things like this DC pop up near Nat Stadium being like a summer long project.
Right. What happened with that that collab? I think the last time we were talking, it was like the best of Virginia meets the best of South Carolina. It was like a Stafford, Buford, Green Gardner. We're talking about some sort of collab with Aslin. Whatever happened with that one?
I don't know, Randy. What happened to your brewery, dude? Are we doing this?
Be on the lookout for the Aslin Beer Company Craft Beer Nation collabo. It's on deck.
Basement,
make it happen.
Basement rooftops.
That's a rooftop basement party.
Rooftop basement
We
party.
already got a name for it.
Yeah.
So since we've announced it, it has to happen now.
Bolo.
rooftop basement parties on deck. But nonetheless, guys, once again,
cheers, Aslin.
Cheers to y'all and your humble growth, and also to your team. I said it earlier, Kai said it just now. You guys have a great team there. You operate as a family. It's not like an employer-employee relationship. I've seen firsthand. It's not that type of relationship. It's a family relationship, and I think that contributes a lot to your success. The people you have working there, it makes a difference when your team believes in your product, and I think that's the case that you guys have going there. So big ups to y'all, big ups to your team, and thank you so much for giving us some of your time tonight. We appreciate we know you guys have early mornings as brewers. It's not a glorious lifestyle, but you guys live it. We appreciate it. So thanks a lot for giving us some of your time, and we appreciate you guys coming on for sure.
Cheers.
Cheers, everybody.
Thanks, fellas.
Ladies and gentlemen,
shout out to One Pack Randy.
This guy. If you haven't seen the Extra Cream review on Craft Beer Nation, go check it out. Anyway, nonetheless, guys, remember, until next time, find some great friends, drink some great beer, and mind those P's and Q's.
The
Cheers.
OGs of this.
Cheers.
Copycats.
We were first with it.
Oh, how dare you?
The first to do it.